Thank you very much, Osvaldo. Okay. So, guys, admit. Okay, welcome to the Make, Play, Tell, Creating Stories to Teach Electronics workshops. This is like a workshop that introduced to, let's say, an approach and a framework that is also something that we are developing together with Lila within the Etapha project. Just to give you like a quick introduction, we are now in the Fab Lab of SUPSI, that is the University of Design in Southern Switzerland. It's a new lab. We started in 2012. I mean, actually, the very first time we presented it in the New Zealand conference, and we joined some pub conferences so far. And the latest edition, we joined with a project that has been kind of supported. It is the Etapha project. It has been supported as a kind of flagship project related to technology education. That's, of course, if you come from the Fab Lab context, is one of the key field or key activities, basically digital skills development. So the agenda for today, I mean, as I said, it's up to you and our discussion, but we want to run some activities. And so first, we want you to introduce yourself while we are here in this call. Then we will give a very short presentation of case studies and also presenting the project that also Lila is designing and developing. Sorry. And then we will do like a hands-on activity that would run in kind of virtual setup. So we are not going to use real electronics, at least if you are not in a lab when you have real component. Sorry. Remote contact. And then we will work on myself. Maybe there is an echo. Myself. Maybe there is an echo. Of the mic. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then we we do another activity that's mostly based on the design thinking, let's say, approach to create a story for teaching electronics. But let's start. Okay, we introduce ourselves again. And again and again and again, but actually we'll be very fast. I'm Serena. I'm a professor here at the University of SUPSI and head of the Fab Lab, and it's mostly 15 years that I'm working on designing format for teaching creative technology to university students. And sometimes also trying to help designers to develop their own ideas and to scale up as kind of real project going beyond the prototyping phase.
And I'm Lila. I'm an interaction designer, and since 2017, I'm developing this project that is within the EdTech world. And yeah, previously I also had the pleasure to work for Arduino, and really glad to share this experience today.
Thank you, Lila, for the presentation. That is back. Okay. So now it's your time. I will share this link in the chat so that you can, without actually speaking, so we can keep presenting our introductory session. But we will give you like a couple of minutes to introduce yourself using this collaborative board. So I'll show you this board. I don't know if you are familiar with the tool called Mural. It's basically a digital board as Miro, and I am sure that you have used during these last 2 years, you have used many solutions like this one. And we will ask you to use this digital post-it to write something about you, especially your interests, and also if you can also suggest with these little black hearts why you decided to attend this workshop. So I'll share the link here, and I'll give you like a couple of minutes to actually, I think it's like it's more, yes, to share. Okay, so you find the link in the chat of this Zoom call. You will find the board, the link to access the board. It doesn't
Yes, we got
require
that. Thank you.
any sign up. Zoom call. It doesn't require any sign up. So please let us know if you manage. It's actually the main tool for this interactive session. So try to access it and let us know if it's not working. But soon you should see yourself inside this collaborative board and adding tests and adding your name. We give you like 3 minutes.
Okay, see Tom.
Okay, Tom managed to get in. Is there anyone having problems with the board? Okay. So, Asha, I can see you. Great. Okay, so you can, yeah, write something about you in the post-it in that area. And then eventually, I mean, if you want to use the black hearts, you can copy and paste and you can duplicate. Okay. Why are you bringing around the post-it, Tom? Okay. So as you can see, I mean, we want you to use this tool for introduce yourself, but also to get familiar with Mural, because we are going to use it also later on during this workshop at least other 2 times. So you can see that you can move things around. You can see your arrow and other people collaborating. You can do things together. And on the left bar, you have some features like adding post-it, for example, or adding shapes and connectors. So we are probably using this feature that I will show you later to create our own circuit in Mural. Okay, I think we can go on with our presentation. So I go back. So this link would be on for months. So for the people that are joining us later, you can still have your contacts, so you can network a bit and share contacts as well. Okay, so whoa, sorry. So what is the topic of this workshop? Is if we have to really make it very simple, we just wanted to talk, or we don't want to teach you, but we want to discuss with you about an interesting approach to technology education that is actually the use of storytelling. That is, of course, an approach used in education already before the invention of electronics workshop for kids, right? So I wanted to say why storytelling is a relevant approach for teaching technology, because stories engage our thinking, emotions, and imagination all at once. And then as a listener, we participate in the story with our mind, with our body. We actually take part into the narrative, and also we react to it with our emotions. So it's a new human art form, and that's why we cannot really separate it from other disciplines that are not related usually in this horrible separation between disciplines. I mean, we cannot separate this also in the math, in the teaching of math and science, because also these notions and subjects are part of the human experience. And so we can also be connected with the storytelling. We don't say, of course, that we took this resource from a very interesting lab in New York that is focusing exactly on the use of storytelling for teaching and learning. So why we think that stories can be an interesting approach to make STEAM education and make an education more effective, and is actually an interesting approach in our kind of domains, that is the digital skills development for kids, also for grown-up people, because the students, I mean, there are at least 3 points. I mean, the students are proven to focus more when they follow a story, and stories help to remember concepts in the long term. And also stories allow to overcome intimidation or anxiety in learning new things. This is actually one of my favorite points, because it's really related to my personal experience when it comes to learn technology. There is a lot of intimidation, because when we get into a room, there are always just boys, right? And so for girls, it's always very, there's a lot of intimidation because of that. But luckily, we are now living in an age where a lot of people are working together to find and develop new approaches, and use also design and let's say creativity to tackle this challenge, to actually make technology education simple and more accessible, not only for actually for geeks or for expert people. And beyond the kind of DIY culture, we luckily, after 10 or more than 10 years of maker movement and Fab Labs, we also see products, so commercial products that are providing this approach to many, many kids, and not only the one that are actually joining workshops in a specific lab. And some of these approaches, they are using storytelling. So one of the most famous example is Hello Ruby, which is actually a series of books on how computer works and on computational thinking, that are basically including in the storytelling the development of activities as a side activity for kids that read the books. And it's all about the story of this girl that has to solve challenges, and she always uses a kind of computational approach to get to a solution. So basically, there is no interactivity, there is no electronics, there are no components. It's just a simple story that just guide the kids into a kind of basic concept, in learning the basic concept of computational thinking. Then we have other books. I'm sorry, just the image disappeared. There is also a book that has been edited by Randy Zuckerberg. He's very active in bringing digital culture to kids. Nevertheless, we know that it's coming from a big tech company and family. But then the book is always presenting a story of young girls and introducing these young girls to the concept related to the digital culture. So again, there is no use of other components. There are no activity plan. It's just a simple book that kids can learn. And this is actually not introducing any making activity, but still an interesting way of bringing stories into our kind of sector. And then we have also new kind of toys that can be actually found in museums and also in shops, like the Cubetto. Actually, Cubetto is a very interesting story. I'm not going to tell the whole details, but it has been designed during the master program that we have here at SUPSI, and then has been prototyped in our Fab Lab, and then become, after getting two Kickstarter campaign successful, they managed to create a toy that brings the kind of physical programming for kids of age from 4 to 6. And it's a kind of interesting toy because it allows kids to plug these blocks and to program this little robot that doesn't look like a robot. It's actually a cute wooden box with a face. And after the release, the team of Primo Toys, they released the first version of this solution for teaching programming. They realized that the kind of context was needed to bring this solution to kids. That's why they decided to release kind of a context story for playing with this tool, and so to engage the kids in solving the problem and to follow a story of this character called Cubetto. So in this case, we have an integration of stories into a real programming activity for young kids. And then I'll go faster. Then, of course, you know, this project probably is one of the solutions in the fields of educational robotics. That is pretty successful field related also to Fab Labs for teaching programming. This is Steemio that has been developed by the Professor Mondada at the PFL in Lausanne, and now it's a successful, let's say, solution, a robotic solution that is also integrated with the many lessons plan that are also including a kind of story telling approach for introducing the activity to the kids. So in all these solutions, we have the last one, but unlikely you cannot see the pictures. We also have the technology will save us kit. Again, this is the story of a company, very clever company, that now is, of course, is kind of discontinuing the production probably. They, for probably more than 6 years or 7 years, they managed to create interesting experiences to teach or to bring analog electronics in the hands of kids and also in the hands of families. So they kind of worked for these kind of scenarios, and they also provide a kind of bunch, kits that included a few electronic components, and these electronics components could have been used in a kind of an exploratory way by the kids that could learn the fundamentals of circuit making, but also learn how to manage electronics by creating stories. And this is also a very interesting integration of these two aspects. It's basically making something by following a kind of storyline or using characters. So Do you have questions? Have you ever met or used the tools that I have already presented? No? Okay.
Oh,
No? Okay, good. So it's good to.
You have other tools maybe similar to these that you have used in your fab labs or with students if you are a teacher?
in my case, I never use it. I use just tech to teach tech. So I need to know how to use this storytelling in order to engage the students better.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom, for sharing.
There are a lot of analogous type toys here in the US that do many of the same things, that the kids tell stories and write. So it's all good.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So coming from this let's say analysis of interesting approaches, already in 2017, Laila started working on her own kit for introducing this perspective. And I'll let Laila to introduce the project that she's developing.
So I will start with the story because we are here talking about storytelling. So who are the Steemians? The Steemians are funny aliens that came on planet Earth to learn more about how we do things here. And they need the help of the kids to actually grasp concepts about science, technology, engineer. And so are actually the kids that are helping the Steemians in living here on Earth. There's 5 of them. So we have Olim, the scientist, Takmia, the technologist, Handas, the engineer, Tania, the artist, and Ria, which is the data scientist. So Etapha is a kit to teach programming, blocking programming, but mainly electronics through an approach that is based, of course, on storytelling, but also on hands-on activities. So the kids, as you see in these pictures, they use a tablet where they found these step-by-step instructions to actually create real circuits on these Steemians that are these funny characters that we created. And the activity is, of course, not only this step-by-step, but there are some challenges that the kids has to face and solve during these adventures. And in the end, there is always like a playful moment for them to experiment with the sensors and the actuators that they can find on the Steemians. So the kit is an Arduino based kit. So there is inside a nano free IoT and features some STEM challenges. So every adventure is about a STEAM related content. So for example, with the first character, which is the scientist, we learn a lot about nature and temperatures and all of these kinds of data. And of course, there's also the tackling of the 21st century skills. So we also find some collaborations and some problem solving activities related. And then what we really wanted to do is to make a kit that the kids could also use at home without, any tutoring or any concern from their parents that maybe, they have to help, but they don't know how. So the kid can actually, take the app and take the kit and use it by himself. And a feature that really we wanted to integrate it in this activity is to make them explorative. So it's not, the kid is in front of the screen and then on the side there's the there are the Steemios, but there are some challenges that they have to go around the space and you know, detecting colors, capturing temperatures, and different lights, for example.
Okay, this was the presentation of the Steammians Kit that is has been developed by Laila in our lab since 2017.
Maybe Alberto has a question.
Yeah. Do you have questions? Alberto?
It's me, Antonio.
Antonio.
I don't know if you are hearing me okay?
Yeah,
No
yeah, yeah.
problem? Yep. Okay. The first question is, what age do you apply these tools? And what is the environment? Is a school? It's a after school program or something like this? And in what countries did you apply it? Thank you.
So thank you for the questions. So the kit is from 9 to 12 years old. And we are using it in after schools workshops mainly. We are planning on also bringing it to schools, but we know that is always really difficult to integrate it in the curriculum because it's the school that has to decide whether to change the curriculum and use these kinds of products. So at the moment we are targeting mainly after schools program within Fab Labs or STEM program specifically, and also in-home use. And at the moment we run workshops in Switzerland, of course, because we are here. So it's very easy for us to test a few things here, but the product is actually targeting Arabic countries. So we already run a few workshops in Egypt and Bahrain as well. And we have some, of course, our network is mainly there, because the stories that we are creating with these Steemians are actually co-created with educators and teachers from those countries.
Okay, more questions? Alisa? No.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hello. Especially, okay, my personal experience, I'm an English teacher, but I'm not using technology for teaching. But I like to use this kind of interactive activities in the future. But the problem is now the corona, the COVID times, that we don't have access to public spaces, to labs at the school. So that's why we are struggling to develop different activities, different from the curricular one. So my question is about the making at home or working at home. So kids are taking that kind of technology from school to their homes. And so how they can get trained or yes, about how to use that, how do you accompany them for getting knowledge and skill. I mean, in digital use, on technology. And that's all. And about the stories, I think this is very, very important for before using the technology is try to develop like as a stage of thinking or the purpose of using some technology. So try to develop some stories to get motivated, engage in that activity, and after that, introduce them the technology. So I think it's very important at the beginning of the process. So that's why I'm interested in this workshop, how to develop stories before using technology.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much as well, but we will get there soon. So just to quickly answer to your question is I mean, it's like a toy. I mean, it's supposed kids, they are supposed to have it at home. I mean, they can, I mean, as a product, they can buy it. And so there is also an app, or there are digital resources that are based on stories, and through digital stories accessible via an app, they can go through the story and also access the resources to build their circuit in order to advance in the story, and also to end the story, to finish the story, but also to basically complete the challenge that is presented at the beginning of the story. So basically, as there are no tutors, so there is just a digital app that, since it's, I mean, for grown-up people, it's kind of easy to go through to follow a tutorial, for example, but it's because we are highly motivated to get to our object done and finished. But for kids, this is not the right motivation. So all resources are incorporated in a storyline. So in a story that is accessible via an app. So, I mean, just to answer your question is like, rather if the school has the kits, they can, I mean, in previous workshop, they could actually send this kit at home, to the home of their students, or rather the families, they provide it for the kids without actually being connected with the school program, so as a pure toy, basically. So let's get to finally to the core activity. I think that is the one that you are mostly interested in. It's how we basically develop the story for our kit, and to make it more engaging, and also how you can reuse this tool for creating the story yourself. But before we get there, okay, we have this canvas that is actually the one that we would like to use for running this workshop. And it's basically made by few blocks where we first define the content that we want to teach. So the kind of notions and the kind of science or technology or engineering, art and mathematics concept we wanted to explain. Then we go into the definition of a story. And what is very helpful, and this is actually also our formula, the story, it's very strong when it's also rooted in your culture. So to create a story, you don't have to definitely kind of stress your fantasy, at least if you are not like a hyper creative person, but you can also work and craft a story that is connected to something that comes from your culture, from your history, from the places where you live. And so also try to embed in a story, I mean, since the goal is to teach something, try to embed in the story a kind of challenge that the kids can actually they have to face in order to get to the end of the story. And then in one of the block of the canvas, I'm sure that you are familiar with this kind of work. It's important to define how the activity with the kids is actually managed. So how this activity will last, what kind of things the kids have to build, or the materials that are available, or if at the end they have to present something, maybe if at the end you ask them to complete the story or to provide their own version, or also if the students, they collaborate with each other, or they're just carrying out an individual activity. We are going to use this canvas later, but first, to create our own story, we will guide you into following these 3 steps. But just to give you an example of one of the results from a previous workshop, so that you have in mind how we use this canvas to create a meaningful story for teaching technology.
Yeah, so this is a story that was created during this workshop that we held online, but it was with educators based in Bahrain. It was during this year of lockdown, so we were trying to figure it out, like best practices to teaching electronics remotely, basically. And so these teachers, she came out with this story using this canvas, where she wanted to teach her students how to measure temperature using Arduino. So there was all the step-by-step for connecting the temperature sensors and measuring the temperature in the classroom. But then, of course, it was also at home in this case specifically. And the stories that she created, I really loved it because it was just before the launch of the Hope probe, which was the first probe from UI in launch. It was the first launch to Mars from an Arabic country, so it was really like an important historical moment. And so she was thinking about the Steammians that was they were basically on this probe. And once they got to Mars, they wanted to have the astronauts and figuring out how to basically best set up the research there. And she had all of these stories also engaging with, of course, the temperature sensors and all the data like air quality and all of these kinds of things. So I thought this was a really like a good example because there was the content, so the skills that she wanted to provide it to her students, which was using the temperature sensors and also how to connect it to Arduino. But then she used a story that was both connected to the Steemian storytelling, but also, of course, to the contest that she was in, and it was really, really nice to see.
Okay, thank you, Laila. So yeah, during our workshop, during this workshop, we will maybe end up with a story similar to this one, or we can collaborate together. But yeah, let's go to our activity. Before I'll ask you to go back to the mural. I share again in the chat the link in case there are people that just joined the workshop. So please go to the mural and navigate the mural to move from the introduction area. Eventually, for the people that just joined the workshop, you can still add your introduction here, your contacts, and why you decided to join. So it's still possible to edit this area. But now we go to this other area where we find basically a step-by-step guide to make a circuit on the left, a resource that explains what a temperature sensor is. That is basically a resource coming from the Steemian story, the Olim Steemian story on the app. And then we have here the components that you can use in order to recreate this circuit. So first, I'm sure that you already have experience of this. We want you to follow this step-by-step guide in order to create a circuit that allows the Arduino to sense the input from a temperature sensor. So in this area, please put your name so that we know that this here will be your circuit. Use the temperature sensor and the resistor, and then use here on the left the connectors, like this one, to create your cables. You can change the color and make it like red, as in the example, right? But you can also use this one as a way to create connections. So we give you like 5-6 minutes to go through this tutorial. And after this, we will create a story that tried to integrate this resource in it. So we all share the same concept before creating the story. Are you ready? Okay. Yes, Saverio.
Ready? Sorry, it's Antonio. But I don't see what you show on your video screen.
Are you in the mural?
I think I am. I put there the.
Okay, you have like,
you
if
are
you
not-
zoom
okay.
out,
Zoom it. Sorry.
if you
I
do,
didn't
no,
zoom
that's not a
No, no.
problem. It's not a problem. I mean, this is like the working area. On the left, there is the previous session. And on the right, we have the circuit making area. So if you zoom out, you can see everything. If you zoom in, you just go in the area
Thank you.
where we are going to work now. So 5 minutes. I know that you have done this plan many times with the real Arduino, but it's just an interesting exercise in 5 minutes before we go to the story making activity. Just try.
Okay.
In the meantime, we try to show how we can make it on the Steemian. Try if it's like too difficult. So as I said, you have on the left side, you have the connectors. So you can select and generate the connectors that you can use as a cable. In the meantime, we'll try to do some so, get like okay, we are here. So
Okay, yes. So already place the temperature sensor
Okay,
and the jumper
okay.
that goes to the analog pin of the AT of the Arduino. And now I'm connecting the resistor. So I will just put it in the middle leg and then here out. Yes. And then I will connect the resistors also to the 3.3 volt line. So here. And now I will connect this leg to this leg to the ground. So the one on the right, this for me. There we go. And now I'm just missing the leg on the left to connect on the on this ground. Okay, I will have to move everything because I need to put this one in the middle.
okay, So I'm sure that in a digital setup, it would be painful as in a real life. Okay, we have our circuit done on the Steemian, but then I will come back here. Okay, we are back. So,
How's it going?
okay, who is trying to create the circuit? Is it too complicated to make it on Mural? Maybe yes, it has not been designed for this activity. I'll give you 1 more minute to try, and then it's just to warm up before the story activity.
Also, maybe just to check, is everyone familiar with the breadboard as a component and how it works?
I think Antonio is like,
Okay, I have tried it. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I was just trying this, but I'm familiar with breadboard, but not this Mural version of it. So I was wondering how to connect those wires.
Again,
Like,
sorry.
how to add those wires? Like I can't.
Okay, so you just go to the left sidebar and you have the connectors that can be used as wires. So you just click on it and you put it on the board. And then if you select, if you click on it, you can also change the color.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Serena, and I don't know the name of the Serena, and I don't know
Laila.
the name. Okay, I know that. Do you use this with your students? Use the Mural with your students, and how they use it, how they like it?
We don't use this with the students. I mean, it depends what students are you. I mean, the young kids using the kit. No, I mean, this is just for this
No,
workshop.
using the Mural. Do they use the Mural also to sketch this?
No,
Okay.
we are using this just because of this workshop.
Okay, thank you.
I mean,
Yeah, we've been using it like in workshop, but with educators and teachers mainly, because it's a good platform to collaborate remotely together. But then with the students, no.
and then when we organize trainings for teachers, so we normally ship the kit to them so that we have another video set up and together we create the circuit, but we don't use the virtual digital platform here. So we just work with the real kit now. And for this workshop, we could not, of course, know in advance who wanted to join. So we decided to run it in this way. Okay, so I think we can, thank you. I think that for the people that want to still finish their circuit, it's okay, but we go back to our canvas. So finally, we can make a story about this temperature sensor. So
we can stay in the mural, no?
yeah, we stay in the mural. So what we wanted to do now is to actually move from the circuit making area. Someone killed my. Okay, I made it again. Sorry, someone deleted the little type of copy and paste. Okay. Okay, so on the left bottom part, no screenshot. On the left bottom part, we have another area where we are going to create the story together about something related to the temperature sensor. We put the example here that someone deleted, but we will be there soon. Okay, Laila is putting it back. Just give me a second. Okay, so you have the canvas appearing now in the mural. Is the one that we showed in the slides. In the slides, and we can read. Okay, now what we have done together is creating a circuit about how to read a temperature sensor. What we would never want to do in our profession is actually to do the same with the young kids, like 9 years old, 10 years old. We would not want never to teach how a temperature sensor works, how it is, how you connect it with the same approach that we experienced before. Like, this is the step-by-step instruction. This is where you have to put your connectors, and now it's going to work. So what we want to define, it's actually a total different approach, is we wanted to create a story out of it. So we have already decided what would be inside the first kind of content that we wanted to share, that is how to use a temperature sensor, how to build a circuit out of for using a temperature sensor. But maybe what this temperature sensor can be used for, and this is a STEM content that we can also include in our canvas together. So if we know that we are going to use a circuit for reading a temperature sensor, we can have an input for creating a story related to a specific subject, starting exactly from this kind of data. So what we can teach, or what we can use as first building block of our story, that is beyond the temperature sensor. I mean, if kids, they are able to read the temperature, probably they can read a story or solve a problem that is also related to this. Do you have ideas about a possible STEAM content that we can introduce beyond the temperature sensor circuit? Does anyone has an idea? I mean, in the one Eolym example, we use the temperature sensor to teach the Steemians what is the meaning of being cold or being hot on the planet Earth, or if it's possible to grow plants or not in specific areas on the planet Earth. So we just use the temperature sensor as a medium, as a tool to introduce science subjects. Do you have a science subject that can be taught with the temperature, beyond the temperature itself? Come on, I know that you have it, you are educators.
Sorry, I don't have any idea now at this moment. Sorry.
It's fine. So shall we teach, I don't know, Laila, have me in this brainstorming.
Okay.
So we know that we can read the temperature with the Arduino. So shall we teach, yeah, like the zero effect. It's like how to set up a greenhouse, for example. Right? What is the right temperature to grow tomato, or something that is more specific from your country? I mean, I don't want to talk about something general. Tell me about a specific plant from your country that requires like a very hot temperature to grow. And I know you have it. whatever can be.
Potatoes, perhaps.
Huh?
Potatoes, no?
Potatoes. We go for the
Mm.
potatoes. Okay, great. So we wanted to teach, of course, we wanted to teach, I mean, as a tech subject, how to make a circuit to read the data from a temperature sensor. But we will never tell this to the kids directly, right? But then we can also teach how to grow potatoes. Okay, that is could be interesting for kids to learn, because in the end they wanted to teach this subject maybe to the STEMians or to other kids, right? So, and
they grow a lot of them, they can also power the kit with them.
yeah, exactly. Also because we can use potato to create energy to power electronic kits in the end. So it's a recursive story. And now we have the block with the story. So, and now we have to put in place our fantasy and our knowledge and our creativity. So we have one important element that are the potatoes, and the potatoes coming from which country? Exactly, from Portugal. Potatoes in Portugal, okay. Potato in Portugal. So let's create a story that put together some cultural facts from Portugal, some history, and
Maybe
some
there's
potatoes.
a special dish in Portugal that is made with potatoes. In Switzerland, we have the roasty, which is quite popular.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kids need to create that stories, or teachers should prepare these stories?
The teachers have
not
to
kids.
create a story. You can then make an open story, and you can ask the kids while they are making the activity, or at the end of the activity, maybe you can give them the freedom to expand the story. But then you should give, as we are doing here now, kids, they are able to create amazing stories, but you should provide the limitation, the limits to generate something that will help them to learn something about technology, but also another STEAM subject. So the fact that it's up to you, I mean, no one is going to, I mean, in our project, the stories are provided. And the more you learn about the structure that is actually comes from this canvas, the more you know about the structure, the easiest for you will be to generate new story. But then still, we should do some little effort to create a kind of story that will work as a context for your activity, but because you are going to be a storyteller and not a tech tutor anymore, right? So the fact that the kids, they will then need to build a circuit for managing a temperature sensor is only a moment that they have to face to get to the end of the story or to solve the challenge. So again, let's go back to the story. What story you wanted to create around potatoes and temperature?
I think we don't have a very good story. I don't know.
Come on.
I don't think that this.
We have to build it together. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like, I mean, it's just an exercise. That's why, I mean, we don't have to deliver a story. It's more about forcing our brains to not go to the step-by-step instruction mode. We wanted to start from the story. So let's take our time for getting not the best idea, but at least the kind of
Like the process.
like a process to start this activity. So we have 10 kids in front of us and they're waiting for a story. They're not waiting for a step-by-step instruction.
I have one idea,
Yeah.
but not about potatoes and temperature sensor, but it is related to the temperature sensor and scarf. usually in India, we wear a white colored scarf, and some people are using a black color. So usually I guess like why should people wearing many people wearing a white color scarf? Then one day I decided to check a temperature in a scarf. If you are in a open space and sky is very hot and all that, then that time I place the both scarf on the table, and I place a one Arduino and with a temperature sensor to each scarf. Okay, then I just went to with my student, and we go there and did a project, and we examined that the temperature is relatively same in both scarf. Okay, so the reason is that we build a small story. We build a small story, and does it really make a changes if you use a different scarf?
Okay, so it's
Like
the
that,
mystery.
they are
It's the mystery of the Indian scarves. It's a mystery story of two friends
yeah,
with different
and
scarves
student
with
was very
different colors,
yes.
and they cannot
That
get
time student
along
was
because of the color.
yes.
What do you think?
So
It's a
that
kind
time
of Romeo and Juliet kind of storyline.
yes, we can say like that. But that time I examined that student was very curious to know more about the temperature behind the colors and the thinking, and why people usually use such kind of such
Okay.
kind of. Did you get my point?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
I need
I mean,
to.
this is, I think it's also very interesting subject that we can teach through this story, because it's about the temperature related to colors. So, but I think we have a very interesting inputs for creating an interesting story. So shall we start from characters, context? Where are these people wearing scarves? Who are they? Who are they?
So actually, in our India, usually the temperature is very hot in the summer and all the time, mostly. They're about 47 to 45 degrees Celsius. Okay, so many people are wearing white color shirts, mostly shirts and scarf. So, and in rainy season also, I saw the many people are wearing a khadi pants, shirts. So it's a culture of our Indian society. Okay, so in this context, we can assume that if you have a certain level, certain colors, and we are using continuously like a Raymond shirts pant, then is it good to wear it, because the thickness and the color of the cloth is various, okay, variable. So in such way, if you continuously use this, then the temperature will be uh, favorable to us, like because the temperature is very hot in summer days, and in the winter season mostly people use different colors. Not only a white, but mostly use a black and green also. Green, blue. So I would say like it's a diversity in the sense of color and temperature.
Yeah, but diversity is not only diversity can be used as a concept for people. So Osvaldo, you raise your hands, please jump in.
Yes, I have one idea. For example, if we have different kind of fruits and vegetables, for example, a potato or different kind of vegetable, any random. So all of these vegetables can grow with different temperatures. So could be a challenge. The students need to identify what's the right season for planting that vegetable or that fruit. So they have to measure the temperature in some way, and they have to identify, like making like a schedule, a plan, when it's a good time for planting that kind of vegetable or fruits. I don't know. That's my idea.
Yeah. This is, I mean, get to know the environment and also culture. What is interesting is that when you build a story, you can put all of these elements in it. Of course, we should try to decide. I mean, we have now like kind of two main ideas for a story. So one that is about seasons, fruit and vegetables, because we want to talk about it. And so I'm wondering if, Osvaldo, there is something interesting in your culture that can be told as a story. Maybe it's the story of Prince, or it's a story of a famous person or a brand, no, not a brand, because we don't want to sell stuff in our story, but then, yeah, maybe you can reflect about how you can place this element in the kind of your cultural context. And maybe for Arshal still, I think it's very interesting story in the one of the scarves. So it can be whatever. I see it can be a planet of people wearing only white scarves and black scarves, and no one knows why the black scarves people don't talk to the white scarves people. So we can also talk about these kind of subjects of diversity and culture. And so maybe at the end of the story, we can push the kids to understand that there is no difference between the people wearing the two scarves. And so we should be aware that there is no difference between people, for example. But we can make it the story like a bit, you know, more engaging. I mean, something should happen.
Maybe they can have like there is like a mission of let's talk about the Steemians.
Yes.
I don't know, like for me now it's like years that I'm making story with the Steemians. It's just the easiest. So maybe we have two Steemians, let's say Olim and Ria. So the green and the yellow one. And then maybe they are visiting India. And but they are realizing very when they get there, and they see that the majority of people that because they had the the idea of going there in August, so now they are traveling, they are getting there, and in India now it's imagine super hot, and they are getting there, and they are seeing that a lot of people, or the majority of people, are wearing white, actually, if I understood well, right? And then they're really suffering for because one, it's I mean the yellow one is actually like feeling a bit better, but the one that is green is really sweating a lot, and they don't know how come, because they are built the same, but then one is feeling a bit better, the electronics is working a bit better, because with the warm weather we know that also electronics doesn't work very well. And so they're there and they're trying to figure it out, what they are missing. So why one of them is feeling kind of okay and the other one not. So maybe they can interact with the people, with the locals, and ask them. Maybe here, Harshal, you can introduce some, at the topic. You can also edit inside the board, the framework.
Yeah, just few elements like Osvaldo. Again, in the meantime, maybe we can have two stories, because we have at least 10 minutes more, and then the discussion. But then eventually Osvaldo or someone that wants to help Osvaldo, you can also write something in the second canvas about your season and the story about the seasons, maybe in Portugal. Maybe we can give you like, I mean, no stress. I mean, please take the point that we want to help you with the ideas, but take your time to reflect. And if you don't, it's like no problem. So we take 10 minutes to work on the canvas. If the other people want to design their own story, I just copy and paste for you another canvas. You will find it there. Just put your title. your title and start writing in the box. So there is there are three canvases now. There are four or five. So let me know if I have to create more, and feel free to give it a title and imagine something for yourself.
I think a pin is on, so anyone can all be.
Oh.
So directly we can edit from this page.
Again, sorry.
So directly we can use from Zoom meeting to edit and all. Or just we need to go through the link. Actually, I'm using a mobile phone. That's why I'm not able to write down something on
The
it.
lines are creating.
I think the pen is on from your side.
Wow.
Pen. I think pen is on. I think you have to off it. Or may I?
Table annotation for others, maybe.
Done. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, maybe we can close a little bit of the first story, the one about scarves. So how do we imagine that this conversation with the locals could go? Like, so we have these two Steemians and they want to interact. So there could be, you know, like a little dialogue.
Partial. Oh, yes.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat?
No, we were continuing with the story. So the Steemians were about to interact with the locals. So maybe here we can introduce a little bit of a dialogue as well. So maybe how the conversation can continue, like.
Okay, so it was a time when I was sitting with my friends, and usually people are saying that you need to use a white scarf because it help you to prevent the heat from sun directly. So I say, I don't think so. I don't believe that the white scarf is good in contrast to black scarf. So that day I realized that yeah, many people are using it. So there is might be some secret behind that. So one day I decided to just uh, take out the two scarf, white and black, and just I went with my student on the roof with the two laptops and two Arduino and Arduino setup. So that day I decided that yeah, really does it make a difference if we use a black and white scarf in a in sunset or in a hot environment. So that day I realized that there is no difference, like 1 degree Celsius maybe a difference between the both scarf. So it's not a thing like we should use it if you want to be a cool in a hot environment. So that day I feel like, or practically I get a answer. In a both scarf we can have around same temperature, but the reason is that many people are saying, even science also said that when you use any black material, it will absorb all the all the photons or energy. Okay, it will not transmit from one side to another. So that's the reason people are mostly using a black scarf in India. So I believe that this might be a
Maybe
reason.
we can, sorry, we can simplify this in like a little conversation, like a little exchange between the Steemians that are arriving in India, and we see that in August everybody is wearing white mainly. So maybe they can ask in a little dialogue. Maybe I can type in.
Hi, may I just ask Harshal something like, just out of curiosity? Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, yes.
Hi.
Hi, I'm also from India, and I didn't know people used to wear the scarf. So I was just wondering what kind of scarf Harshal is talking about. Is it a turban that you?
We were creating
A story.
story.
It's about a story. So we are using this.
No. I understood all that. Like, I was just asking Harshal, is he talking about a turban, like the one that we keep on the hand?
No. Usually, people are wearing people usually are wearing when they are driving a bicycle or a car. No, not car, but usually bike. So that time they are wearing a different scarf. So usually I saw that white color scarf are usually used. So that's why I mentioned.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I mean, so that's why I was curious. Sorry. No, I am from southern India, and I haven't seen it at all. Like, so I was just wondering.
So usually in college life, girls are use the white color scarf instead of a different color or mix.
Okay.
Okay,
So why you concentrate? Okay, like sorry to interrupt, because I see that there is a second story complete. Maybe you can type the inputs for the story in the canvas while we are having a look also to Osvaldo. I think he made this story in the second canvas. So can I read it? So two farmers wants to plant different products to diversify their farm business. They noticed that the price of potatoes increased due to the importation fee, and people like to eat many potatoes. So they want to grow potatoes, but they don't know the planting condition very well. They need to find the right moment. Hey, bye. Bye, love. Thank you very much. Put your email if you want to contact us. But potatoes need certain temperature to grow up strong and happy. How can we find the right environment for them? How can we adjust the temperature? Oh, that's a brilliant story. That's a brilliant story. It's I would say congrats, because it's of course it's not fictional. I mean, it's like we don't have like unicorns. I mean, it's not about a fantasy, but it's typical of this kind of math problem when you go to the market, right? That puts also the kids in a condition that it's relevant for them to understand why we are eating specific kind of vegetables, because the season is different, but also because there are financial and economic reasons. So along with this story, and after the kids, they have to, of course, make their yes. Yeah, please. Do you have questions? Yeah. Please. No, it's not.
Maybe you can type the question in the chat. Type the question in the chat.
So just to finish my comment, when we use story, Nico, can you switch off the mic? Nico, can you switch off the
If you want to explain a complex thing in a simple manner, that time you choose to tell a story to the student so that they can understand easily. I believe that this is a way to make a story. Is it correct?
Can you say it again? I'm not really working.
In school or college, if you want to teach a complex thing in a simple manner, okay, that time mostly educators use the storyline. or make a good story to understand easily for student.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. I believe that it's important, because when you tell the story to the student, that time they understand easily and they can remember for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the takeaway. And also one important thing that you can notice from this second story or from the first story about the scarves, that with story, we can really put the students in a kind of a cultural context, and they can also learn more things that are not exactly only one subject that we want to teach, but it's like more integrated learning approach. Because in the assessment phase, you can also decide to evaluate if the circuit was well made, if the temperature sensing work, but what for? I mean, we don't want to teach technology just for the sake of teaching technology. We want to explain them that they can actually solve real problems. And so if we use a step-by-step approach, this is not going to work because they want just to see.
I think someone has their mic open. It's a little bit of echo. Maybe Arshil, if you can switch off the mic.
okay.
Okay, it's better now? I think so, because I cannot hear myself anymore. Okay, great.
Thank you.
I can
So
hear the
just-
proper.
Yeah, okay. So just to sum up, from stories, since stories are made of different ingredients, then the lesson can actually include other subjects for a more for an integration of multiple disciplines, and also to really giving a context to the use of technology. If we choose the step-by-step approach, what we teach to kids is basically to just use a sensor, and doesn't make sense. I mean, they can also play with it and understand that there is this little component that can sense the environment. But why sensing the environment? What for? So with the story, and that's what Etapha proposed, is actually to have this story to give context to technology and let the kids understand why they should learn this, and not just use the content per se. Plus, we just wanted to give the freedom to the people to use their own culture. So of course, there are plenty of stories that we can provide, or that can be also generated by online resources. But still, if you want to teach the 10 different people in this Zoom room, they could teach the same circuit by using 10 different stories and 10 different cultures, and also economic notions or data science notions. So there are it's a way of diversifying the way to teach technology according to your needs, basically.
There's a question.
I know what you call stories as scenario. It could be the same. That's a good question. No, it's not a scenario. I mean, yeah, it depends what you mean. In a scenario in design, it's a very specific technique that you use to explain what the product should be used for. But it's like a story. We use this terminology as a story because you really start telling a story. It's not about, okay, let's imagine together a possible application scenario for your solution, because this would be definitely too technical. So we want to give also the freedom to be more, let's say, less rooted in the reality eventually, and also use more fantasy. So, but yeah, definitely the scenario it's a scenario-driven teaching, provide a context to the problem and the challenge for kids. We just wanted to be less technical, because scenario is still something that we use in design as a technique for really delivering a solution. We are talking with young kids. We still want to explore other possibilities that will just, be rooted in a kind of constant connection with the reality. It's up to you. But yes, can be also translated in scenarios, Valdo.
Maybe we can quickly close up with the last step of the story, the creation of story. So the activity. The activity is really about, let's say, to set up all the moments that you will have during this activity. So from how many kids you will involve to how long you want this activity to last, if there are any materials that are required. So for example, if you're doing circuit making, in the activity, you will put, like all the components, if the Arduino is needed, for example, the sensors, and also if there are different moments, like for example, the circuit making will be step by step, and then there is, of course, before the story. So you will have to write down the stories, which is the point 2, but then also to understand where to share the story with the students and how. So in the activity, it's in between, like the storytelling and a bit more like practically what you will need to apply this activity in your class or with kids in general.
So, like, for example, after the kids complete the circuit with the temperature sensor in the story of the potatoes, Valdo, what would you ask to do to the kids? I mean, should they sit on the table at their desk, or they can move around, for example? They can go and check at the window, they can go into the school garden. I mean, what do you plan for this activity, for this lesson to end? This is also for everyone. I mean, you can also give input.
Maybe because they place the temperature sensor, they could also trying to find the warmest environment for the potatoes to grow within the space that they are in.
Okay, maybe, yeah, this is just one of the final input, but just to complete, you will have in this canvas, you will have what you want to teach, what is the story that you are going to tell, but then you have a kind of a list of how you're going to execute the plan, these activities. Like you will start with the story, then you will share the materials, and then at the end you want to ask the kids to go around and check. Maybe you want them to share, maybe you want them to work in groups and to create a table on their notebook so that they can also compare, for example, the different temperature, and maybe you can create a final collective decision where is the best place at the school to grow the potatoes, for example. And maybe you want them to write a letter to the director of the school to ask for space for their garden. So the activity should not stop when the circuit is done, can continue and include more elements, considering the story as a starting point and a context. So, yeah.
Yeah, also having a moment of assessment at the end of every activity is always good.
I mean, you know how it works, and just to check if everyone understood the main elements that you wanted to transfer about, maybe not only the circuit, but also about the other concept. So I think that it's already almost 10 minutes to 11, and I mean, the Zoom fatigue can be already too high for everyone. We wanted to thank you. We will leave this mural open so that if you wanted to download or wanted to screenshot, you can have your story for yourself. We will keep it open maybe for a month or more, so you can still access. If you wanted to add your contacts or you share your contacts here, we can also share the slides with the case studies. So if you put in this or in the chat your email, I mean, we would be happy to get in contact with you in the future. So please just go here or in the chat to share your contacts. We finish here the session and the workshop. We hope it was useful, at least stimulating in you a different perspective on how to teach electronics. Just to say that this is a part of the Etapha project, the Steammians Kit. We are trying to scale up to create more stories, also interactive with you educators all around the world. And yeah, soon we will try to have a crowdfunding campaign. So eventually you can get in contact with us through the social media, and also soon by the end of September on a Kickstarter. We can have like a final comment and question session. So if there are no more questions, or you can write your question in the chat.
Or you can also contact us later via email and so on. We are always available.
Okay. Okay, we share our email, that info@etapha.com in the chat, or serena@etapha.com, or Laila@etapha.com.
Yes.
Hello.
No,
I want to say thank you very
Ah.
much. Thank you very much for this workshop. It was very fun. And
thank you,
I
Osvaldo,
hope
for
see you.
your participation. And yeah, let's see you soon.
No,
Thank
it's okay.
Thank
See
you for
you.
being
Thank
really
you.
hands-on with the creation of the story as well. It was really appreciated.
Okay, ciao. Thank you.
Okay, ciao. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Ciao, ciao. Hello. Nura. Do you have a question? I mean, if you want to leave, feel free to leave. For the people who have questions.
Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you very much for everyone. I want to ask about emails for you, but you have sent it already, I think.
Okay, great. Yeah, don't forget to write us.
Thank you so much, Serena and Leila, for this workshop. You really made a good workshop at all. Thank you so much.
Okay,
I will
thank
be
you
in
for your
touch.
participation. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you,
I will
Nandita. Bye.
email you after that. Thank you.